Welcome to Community Chat. This is a 2021 candidates conversation, as we have candidates who are running for not only the Board of Health, but Board of Selectmen. We will have the candidates join us each and kind of talk a little bit about not only their qualifications, but why they are running for the particular board, whether it's Selectmen or Board of Health. Today joining us, he is the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, Mr. Tim Chapin. Welcome to Community Chat, sir.
Kevin, thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this.
You got it. We can't assume that everybody knows who the great Tim Chapin is, but for those who don't, tell a little bit about yourself, maybe some previous committees or boards that maybe you've served on in the past.
Well, I was born and raised here in Abington. My whole life I lived in Abington, and I served a few years back on the Board of Health for about a half a year. They were down a person, so the Board of Selectmen appointed me. I finished out that term and was fully ready to run again, and two members of the Board of Selectmen were retiring at that time. So the opportunity for me to step up and run for Selectmen came, so I took that, and 3 years later, here I am trying again.
What's important about serving the community, public service, and volunteering? Because you don't get paid to sit in these committees. You do it because it's public service.
That's all. You know what? I got 4 kids. I raise a family in town. I have brothers, sister that lives in town, and they all have kids. Our roots are here. So if we want the community to be as great as it's been to us when we were growing up, we feel the need to serve too and step up and help out in any way we can. And this is something I've always been interested in, town politics, so I gave it a shot.
So during the term that you're finishing up, what were some of the accomplishments that your board have had that you can at least call to?
Yeah, as you're serving on the Board of Selectmen, you're always thinking about the future and what's coming next, what's on the next agenda, what do we have to do next. And really, as I'm getting the papers signed, I'm going around town for re-election, it gave me a chance to look back on the last 3 years, and then it's just, my head starts to spin. You think where we were 3 years ago, and I'm not saying everything was bad 3 years ago, because it's always been a great town, and it still is. But we had issues with police department turnover. We had issues with communication from town hall. We had issues with town management, basically. And we had the opportunity in the past 3 years to really address those head on. And I'm really proud of the members of the Board of Selectmen to really step up and make some very hard decisions over the past 3 years. When we changed out the town manager, we were going into a pandemic. We were going into a budget cycle. I mean, that was a very difficult decision to make, but because the Board of Selectmen felt that was best, we did it. And the person we hired, Scott, has really stepped up and made us look good. So, I mean, that was one thing I'm very proud of. The police department turnover was, I mean, we were bleeding police officers away 3 years ago. And we, it took some doing. It took longer than I really wanted, but nothing's easy with government. But we commissioned a police study that really brought to attention some deficiencies within our police department. And we got the management on board with the patrolmen to work together. And now, I'm not saying everything's perfect. It's never going to be. But we're really working together to find the solution. And it's much improved than it was 3 years ago.
If I could kind of follow up on the police department, there is, I believe, a search on for a new police chief or a permanent police chief. What are some of the attributes that you'd like to see in your new police chief, whoever's hired, whether it's somebody within the department or outside of the department? Not being a patrolman myself, it's tough for me to really say because I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on how police departments are run. So as far as the day-to-day operations go, I honestly don't know. What I would look for if I was hiring the police chief would be somebody who's experienced, somebody who has built a career on teamwork and is willing to work with patrolmen, with other brass members to make the department as good as it can be. Okay. Well, let's talk about the town's finances. So what's your understanding as to the town's fiscal year 2022 budget as we approach town meeting coming up in May?
I think we're going to be in pretty good shape for this year. And I know it's been touch and go throughout the whole pandemic on
how much we've had to spend, how much gets reimbursed, where we're going to be. We know the government's been giving out a lot of money lately to keep small businesses afloat, to keep families afloat with stimulus packages. And so we're not sure how much money we're going to get from the state. We never know for sure until the last minute, but this year has really been different. So as we started the budget, we were looking at a shortfall, you know, and as it's getting closer, it looks like we'll be able to do level funding budgets, which, you know, unfortunately, we wish we could do more than that, but I mean, in these times, level funding right now, I think that's a win.
Can anything be done to improve the town's financial picture or even stimulate economic development within the town?
Yeah, absolutely, things can be done. And I think you're starting to see that is with more boards and committees really promoting the businesses within town and giving Abington a reputation for being business friendly. I know if I was opening a business, you want to work good in the town, and you don't want to have conflicts with governmental boards or anything like that. And I think we're setting that precedent that doesn't happen around here.
You know, not too long ago, Bemis Drug closed down. COVID has changed our lives in a lot of different ways. Whether it's how we navigate. I mean, we're sitting here with masks on our face, conducting interviews. Who knew that was going to happen? But when it comes to running a business or governing the town, things have changed, at least for the foreseeable future. Should the town try to provide some kind of assistance to those businesses in the form of tax breaks so that we don't lose any more business that helps generate tax dollars?
Yeah, great question, because it's really difficult to do when you're really just looking for money to keep the budget level. But we found ways. A short time ago, the Board of Selectmen, we voted to waive liquor license fees and taxes, any fees for licensing on restaurants. We know they had a tough year. It's a small thing for them. I mean, maybe saves them $100 to $200. But I can't tell you how many phone calls I had from restaurant owners around town that just said, thank you so much. I mean, Billy Lynch from Lynch's Pub called me, Kathy from the Depot. There were a lot of them that just called and said, that small gesture in these times really means a lot. And so that it's things like that the town can do, that we need to do. Even if it's a small amount of money, the gesture and the publicity for the businesses is great.
You were fortunate to see that the vaccines are being rolled out, and the president has says that he'd like to see everybody have a shot in their arm by May 1st. Do you feel, though, as though we're going to be out of the woods anytime soon, and do you feel that the town can endure a second year of COVID?
I don't think anybody can endure a second year of COVID, especially the mothers and fathers that are homeschooling our children right now. They can endure a second year of COVID. I do think that we'll be out of the woods to some extent. COVID's always going to be here. We're always going to have people getting COVID. And I mean, I don't think we'll ever completely eradicate it. But to the point where we can get, you know, maybe 60, 70, 80% of the public vaccinated on it, and, you know, especially the high-risk seniors. I think it'll be a lot less of a problem, and we'll be able to loosen up restrictions.
You're a family man, you're a community guy. What are some of the things that you have missed, or some of the events that you have missed that the town holds traditionally?
All of them. I mean, it's been a tough year. I mean, geez, we're a couple days away from the St. Patrick's Day parade, or it would have just happened this past weekend. And I love taking my kids to that. They love going to that. I mean, some years it's 80 degrees and sunny, and we have a great time. Other years, not so much. Since being a selectman, I've had the opportunity to march in the parade. Having my daughter march with me and pass out candy was absolutely the highlight of my 3 years on the Board of Selectmen. I look back at those pictures and it was just a great time. But that's one of them. There's the fireworks that we've missed out. Even just going to a Friday night football game or a freshman game on a Thursday. You know, things like that it's just sad that we can't do.
Let's talk a little bit about capital projects. Where does this town stand in regards to important capital projects? First thing I can think of is a new fire station, but maybe there are others that you're aware of. Where does the town stand, and do you see anything moving forward either this year or next year when it comes to discussions?
Yeah, we haven't halted that. I'm fortunate enough to sit on the Capital Planning Committee, which was newly formed by our town manager, Scott Lambiase, which really gives residents, when this committee, we're still new, but when it's fully formed and functioning, what we envision is residents coming in to say, okay, this is where we need to prioritize our capital projects. So I've had a chance to look at, what's coming down the pipeline, and yes, the new fire station's one of them. And that's going to be a difficult decision that's going to be made by the residents over the next couple of years, because I think we all know we need it. We all know they deserve it. And then it's just, okay, what's feasible now? So that's going to be a tough one. The highway department is now the oldest building in town. That's coming down the pipe. That's going to have to be rebuilt. There's certain things the golf course wants to do to help their income, which luckily they've had a great summer. So, there's a lot of money in their enterprise fund that they're able to do some of these things. So this year, as far as capital projects, what's absolutely needed? For example, the highway department needs a new truck and a street sweeper. And they absolutely need it this year because the other one's not going to pass inspection. Okay, let's find a way to fund that and let's do that. But that's where we're looking right now, what needs to be done, and then hopefully 2-3 years down, we get to some more of the wants.
Water and sewer are always seen as key elements to economic development and being able to continue building or building out a community. What's your understanding as to the town's access to these two essential items?
Well, right now we're okay. We recently, within the past 5 years, have got some more water capacity from Brockton, and the sewer capacity is held tight. So right now we're okay. It is something we're going to have to think about, especially if over in the Weymouth Air Base, I know our goal is to build commercial land over there. If that's the case, we're going to have to look maybe in the future. We don't want to get caught having to put a moratorium on businesses. That's the last thing we want to do is tell people that want to open business in town, no, you can't. So we want to be forward thinking about that. And our water department and our sewer department have been great about, watching the levels and letting us know where we need to be and what maybe investments they need to keep the capacity where it needs to be.
Your answer gives me a great follow-up question because we've seen it under so many different names. Originally, the Weymouth Air Force Base and Union Point and the Southfield Redevelopment, whatever the name is today. Abington has a stake in it with 2 other communities. What are your hopes moving forward? What are you watching for as yet another major developer comes in and is making promises to build out those parcels of land?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that maybe about 2 years ago now that we switched developers and basically we're starting from scratch again. And that's unfortunate. As a member of the Board of Selectmen, we appointed Kevin Donovan as our representative onto the Board of Directors over there. And he's done an amazing job at keeping us updated on what's going on. And really, it's a lot of paperwork right now. It's a lot of financial get in the back end before they actually start to build out. So we're hoping sooner than later. There's some things that have held it up in the court system that hopefully that's all cleared up now and we can start building. I know our goal is for commercial zone property over there and to really open businesses.
I think the one key element for a successful town and for a community is that it's boards and committees working well together and communicating. Do you feel that the boards and the committees in town work in conjunction with each other and communicate effectively?
No, we hate all the boards and committees in town. I'm kidding, obviously. I've heard these stories in the past on how the Board of Selectmen was anti-Board of Health and this board, and I got to be honest, now on the inside, I don't see it. I mean, these boards and department heads have been really great about working together, really great about working with us. If we do something that they think is wrong, they'll come to us and say, hey, we need this from you. And that's fine because we turn around and say, okay, well, we need this from you. For example, just a couple weeks ago, as members of the Board of Selectmen, we kept getting calls on the clothing bins around town. And so we're like, oh, we really need some regulations for these. And I know it's a Board of Health thing, but the Board of Selectmen worked with, Scott Lambiase worked with Marty, and they got the regulations written up, and the Board of Selectmen looked at them and said, okay, this is what we want. We sent it to the Board of Health, they approved it, and here we go. It was a problem that could have caused some animosity, stay in your lane type conversations, but really we just worked together and we got it done because it needed to be done.
Is it an item or issue that we haven't discussed here during our conversation, but you want to take a moment to talk about?
Not really. I think we covered more or less the groundwork. I guess I just want to maybe talk about the teamwork on the Board of Selectmen.
Please do.
And just how great it's been to work with these guys. And when I first started with Bob Manning and Ken Coyle, guys who have been around for a long, long time, that really helped me. The little known secret when you become a selectman, you don't know anything about the job. So it really takes a good year or two till you get your feet under you. And it's guys like those who are still approachable and reachable. I have their cell phone number. I know I can call them anytime if I have questions. They've been great. And then all the other guys that have come on the board, whether it's Mike, Jim, Alex, all since then, we've really all worked together. And we don't always agree, which is a good thing. But we are always respectful of each other, and we always find a middle ground that's best for the town.
How much more did it take? Again, you're talking about you get on the board and you're getting an understanding. What is it like to be the person who runs the meetings and you're the chairperson? A lot of things come through you. What's that like?
It was interesting because I found myself 2 years on the board being the most experienced member on the Board of Selectmen. So there was a lot of change. So it was interesting. Scott's been a real big help. He's very experienced in town government. So he's really helped me a lot. And the fact that I can work with him and he's communicating everything to me makes my job 1,000 times easier, because there were times not too long ago that we'd get calls as members of the Board of Selectmen that the town office did something, and we were the last to find things out. We were reading things on Facebook and thinking they were rumors, and come to find out, no, it was all true. But Scott's been great about communicating to me, so I try to, pass that down to the other board and set things up so that everybody knows what's going on.
A little bit of a softball here, but this gives you a chance to talk about the
softball.
The community that you love, that you grew up in. Favorite restaurant or restaurants or spot in town that you like to visit from time to time?
Oh boy,
that's a tough one, but
that is a tough one, because there's Lucy's, the new pizza joint in the bowling alley that is really a nice place. Lynch's Pub, which I found recently by doing a show on your network, that I had never been to, even though I had been in town 30 years. I go in there all the time now. It's a great neighborhood place. There's the Depot, the Ale House, sitting out on the deck on a Sunday afternoon listening to the acoustic music. You can't beat that. So if you're going to try to get me to pick one, it's not going to happen. But those are some of my favorite places. And as far as, entertainment, I love bowling at Webster Timberlanes. We do a lot of meat raffles and stuff at the Knights of Columbus. There's so much to do. And I can't wait till we build a new Beaver Brook playground so we can start taking our kids down there again.
This is your chance to engage the folks at home who are going to go out and vote come April 24th, if you will. What would you like to say to them in regards to getting out and vote?
Well, the first thing before I even got into that, I'd want to thank them for the last 4 years. And I know I've been on the board 3, but even the year before, when I just had talked about running and was thinking about running, is getting to meet new people and people coming up to me and telling me, hey, this needs to be an issue. Can you bring this up? Everybody's been so great. Nobody's been adversarial or anything. You didn't vote the way I wanted. People really have been great. So I first want to thank them for helping me, because without them, I wouldn't know what I was doing. I'd just be spouting off on what I think, and that doesn't matter. So they've been great about that. I would like 3 more years on the board. It would be great to serve the town. So the only thing I would ask is that everybody comes out to vote on April 24th, and trust me with one of your 2 votes.
And I thank you for tuning into a program like this. We'll do our best to get all the candidates in to kind of discuss some of the issues. Remember, April 24th, voting, check with the town clerk, make sure that you are registered. Also find out about hours. Don't forget that the polling place has changed. I believe it's the Beaver Brook Elementary School that's taking place. Again, check in with the town clerk for details on that. And we thank you for tuning into this program. and other programs that we're going to have with the candidates coming up soon. Until the next conversation, have a good day.